When I think of 2003, the only things I can think of are belly button rings, stretched ears, and like a lot of hairspray. Oh, and you can't forget hair straighteners. But the other things that I think about when I think of the year 2003 are the 41 records in today's video. That's right, we're going through 41 of the most notable, notorious punk rock, pop punk, emo, metalcore, hardcore, post-hardcore releases from the great year of 2003. Hey ladies, how's it going? Dan Frampton here, and it's impossible to believe that these records are 20 years old. The first one we're gonna talk about is this one over here, NOFX, The War on Errorism. Now this is kind of their political cartoon of a record, okay? The most memorable songs on this are Franco Un-American and Nubs. If you don't know about Nubs, Nubs is a woman that lived in Toronto that didn't really have any arms or legs or whatever, but liked to go to punk rock shows, and she went to NOFX shows, and then Fat Mike wrote a song about her called She's Nubs. Fast forward to the year 2022, last year, Fat Mike is opening up this whole punk rock museum type thing, and he flies down Nubs to Las Vegas to be one of the spokespersons of this thing. And by this part of their career, NOFX haven't really fallen off, but they're quickly on their way. I'm giving them 1 out of 2 stars here. The next record we're going to talk about is another Fat Records release called Dead Flowers, Bottles, Bluegrass, and Bones by Swingin' Utters. This thing is okay, 1 point. We're going to take a spin over to the Screamo side of the world, where Poison the Well released their very first major label release, 0 points. And then Rise Against is hitting us with another record. They're not really a typical sounding Fat Records type band, but they are a Fat Records type band that would explode. They're very tight, I love the vocals. It's not their best record, but it is a great batch of songs, 1 point. Okay, the next record is The Ugly Organ by Cursive. This thing is wildly creative, super inventive, distinct, tuneful, soulful, boundary-pushing, emo, screamo, post-hardcore type fare. Has so many good songs, so many good textures, so many good structures. I absolutely love this album. And it's one of those records that might break my scale, but I'm not doing that this time. This is just getting a solid 2 points. And then Death by Stereo dropped this record over here, Into the Valley of Death, on Epitaph Records, and it is way more hardcore than I was expecting. I was expecting just a bunch of punk rock, because I haven't been listening to these guys in a long time, okay? But this thing is a lot more hardcore than I remember it. California, melodic, hardcore type stuff. Not exactly the sound that you expect to come off of Epitaph, but I'm giving this thing a solid 2 points. I don't know what to call the RX Bandits. I've always called them the Prescription Bandits growing up, because you know RX is like the prescription sign or whatever. So I'm gonna call these guys the Prescription Bandits from now on, because it's just a better name for the band. And anyway, this thing has a bunch of decent guitars. It's kind of like ska-core, I guess. It's got a little bit of grit, it's got a little bit of melody, it's got some horns, 1 point. And then we got Teenage Bottle Rocket doing this whole skate punk Ramones core type thing. Very cool, 2 points. As I Lay Dying is just the shittiest band, okay? The shittiest band name, I hate these guys, 0 points. Against Me as Eternal Cowboy is an okay record, not as good as their last, 1 point. Anchors Away by the Bouncing Souls totally rips off an album cover from AFI and just kind of palette switches the colors to like this green type thing, and I don't like it, 0 points. And then we get blessed with some spooky pop punk by Alkaline Trio on this record called Good Morning. It's okay, 1 point. Less Than Jake dropped this album called Anthem, and to me, it's not really their best stuff. I'm more of a losing streak type guy, you know? I'm giving this thing 0 points. Not being very generous. I will be generous here though, you know, this is Yellow Card. I don't like this record, but it has Ocean Avenue on it, and this thing blew up for the band, so I have to give it at least 1 point for that. Yellow Card. Good little drummer though. Oh, this is the year that Haymaker by Throwdown came out. This thing is just like if a straight edge hardcore band wanted to be Pantera for some reason. This thing is a total parody of itself, but that song Forever is gonna live on until the end of time. I know a thing or two about you, your bullshit attitude. It's so perfect. 2 points, obviously. Coheed and Cambria are highly conceptual and also highly divisive. They put out their record here in Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3, and it's just like the biggest brain stuff in the world. I don't have the patience to consume all of this content. but it does have that one song on it, A Favor House Atlantic, and that thing is a goddamn classic, 1 point. Everything Goes Numb by STREETLIGHT Manifesto. Okay, there's a lot of drama surrounding this record because it came out on Victory, but this band didn't like Victory, okay? So they actually boycotted their own record so Victory wouldn't bag all the money from the sales of this thing. And this thing is a pretty big record. This record is kind of a ska record, but it actually did numbers, okay? Not a lot of ska bands are doing numbers at this time, but STREETLIGHT Manifesto are kind of breaking that law. Boys Night Out, Canadian emo post-hardcore stuff, 1 point. They're not my favorite band doing this. We'll get to that though. Oh, you want to talk about hardcore, do you? This Shai Hulud album, That Within Blood, is absolutely hard as hell. 2 solid points. But you know who's walking away with 0? This MXPX record over here, Before Everything and After, is so bad. 0 points. Get away from me. Okay, Dropkick Murphys, even though this thing is littered with good tracks, even though this band is so tight, this album cover is so bad. I hate it so much that I have no choice but to give this thing 0 stars. I didn't think that I was going to be breaking the scale during the year 2003. But Zebrahead over here is breaking my scale with their record MFZB. Okay? It's breaking the scale, but in the opposite direction. This thing isn't getting a 3. No. This thing is getting -2 stars. It's like the worst commercialized pop punk that you ever done heard. It's so bad. I want to talk about commercialized shit that's so bad. Story of the year. Holy shit, this record sucked. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. I haven't been shy about my love and appreciation for the Blood Brothers. I think that they are such a unique, hard, aggressive sounding band in that whole post-hardcore type vibe. And in my opinion, they're probably my favorite band in that style just because of how unique they made it sound. But this record isn't their best record. I'm only giving it 1 point for their effort. Burn, Piano Island, burn. Oh, and then Hatebreed's just doing Hatebreed again, The Rise of Brutality. This is the record with Finn McKenty's theme song on it. Straight to your face with the truth. 0 points. Oh my god, there's so many zeros. Silverstein. So boring. This is the most boring emo and it sucks ass. 0. Oh my god, why did I put all these together? I listened to these in this order. I just stacked a bunch of zeros in a row for the pure pleasure of pain. I really should have followed it up with a great record, but what I did was follow it up with an okay record. Strike anywhere, exit English, 1 point. And then we got skate punk legends over here, Lagwagon, dropping their record, Blaze. And it's a pretty good record, but the thing I like about it the most is the album cover. This is amazing. It looks like a Coca-Cola ad from 1912 or whatever. Just a man and his horse and his wife and her Coca-Cola. I absolutely love it. 100 stars goes to the album cover, but I just got to give this thing 1 point as an actual album. So 2003 was kind of the year that like post-garage, post-grunge rock type thing was happening. Bands like the Vines, bands like the Hives, you know, that kind of thing that like the White Stripes would be on the top of. And that is what Randy was kind of doing on Welfare Problems, but they were still sounding like that glitchy Randy that they put out in the last record. But this is not really the best Randy in my opinion. It's my least favorite Randy record, but it's still better than 95% of all music, so 2 points. All right, I'm really glad I did this. Now I stacked a bunch of 2s in a row, because the Locust, when they dropped Plague Soundscapes or whatever, this is the cleanest that they've ever sound, but it is the most violent, the most glitchy, the most brutal power violence that you could possibly get. And maybe not, there's probably more brutal power violence out there now that I'm being honest with you, but it just has a ton of personality, a ton of character, and it just like scrapes your face off. Okay, I gotta be honest with you. This record over here, Thursday, War All the Time, it's not my favorite record, okay? I don't even remember any of the songs off it after listening to it. But because of all the drama that they went through on Victory Records, and because they were such champs about it, I'm giving this thing over here a charitable 2 points. Between the Buried and Me. Now this was like the kind of time where everybody had a name like this. Between the Buried and Me. A day and a death wish. You know, that kind of thing. As I lie dying. I couldn't get over them back then. I still can't get over these band names now. 0 stars. Oh, it looks like Anti-Flag is back on Fat Records. That's nice. 1 point. With their record, The Terror State. And we want to keep talking about terror, but we're going to talk about the band Terror this time, and their record, Lowest of the Low. And this is just an amazing album. 2 stars. And then Comeback Kid is over here doing this kind of shouty hardcore that is reminiscent of Bane a little bit, actually, back at the time. But it's not their best record, so I'm only giving it the 1 point. It is pretty badass though. You should go listen to it. Okay, we only got the biggest records of the year coming up and my personal favorite. So starting off with the biggest of the big, we're going to be talking about AFI and Sing the Sorrow. Gone are the skate punk roots. Gone are the horror punk experimentations. Now they are like a full-fledged emo goth act. And not only are they all that, they're owning it completely. This feels like AFI finally taking the form that AFI was built to take. Do I need to even say any more? 2 points. And then Rancid were like, we're gonna put out this record through Warner Brothers distribution or whatever, and this thing is awful. I hate it. 0 points. Blink-182 wanted to take it back to their roots. They thought, let's just put out a self-titled record fucking 10 years into our career, and this thing, in my opinion, even though it has legendary track after track after track, this thing is like so memeable in every single way. I do not like this album. I think it is awful. 0 points. But this was also the year that the gods gave us Take This to Your Grave by Fall Out Boy. It just saw a bunch of hardcore kids get fed up with playing hardcore and screaming every night, and instead starting a little bit of a singy type pop punk band, and little did they know they would go on to sell so many gosh darn records. This thing is melodic, this thing is melodramatic, this thing is getting 1 point. But we're gonna stay in that kind of post-hardcore emo world for the 41st record on this list. My personal favorite band in this style, Moneen. When they dropped this album, are we really happy with who we are right now? It's just rad and badass, and sure, it might be a hint pretentious, but I love everything about it. It's not even my favorite Moneen record. 2 points. That was a good little year, I must say so myself. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell if you're cool as hell, and until my next upload, you can watch another upload.